Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brian Henley.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brian Hanley, along with Tim Fitzgerald. Welcome back to Big 12 Insiders. Appreciate everybody being in here. We have got a great show for you guys today. Power rankings are out, and a little bit of a shakeup in the power rankings, not necessarily at the top, but to me, Fitz, I think this week, this is the week where I think there's a clear number one. Not that there wasn't before or anything. I think there may have been some debate between some people, but after last night's game, which we'll talk about here in just a second, I don't think there's a debate. Obviously, we'll give that to you at the end, but I don't think there's a debate on who the number one team in the Big 12 power rankings are this week.
I agree. That'll wrap up today's show. Thanks for watching. Hey, look, Arizona's just next level. They just are. Yeah. There's just when I watched them, I'm like, that is one of the most well-constructed college basketball teams I've seen in quite a while, and they continue to prove it. And now the question becomes, when will they lose a game? I find it hard to believe they're going to run the table, but people are beginning to discuss the fact that Arizona could become the first undefeated national champion. There's just a few hurdles between now and then.
Right. Well, they wouldn't be the first in a really long time.
Yeah, that's correct.
Trust me, being from Indiana, having to listen to the last undefeated team, trust me. I know who it was and when it was. It's just ad nauseum. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, with the extended tournament. Let's put it that way.
There you go. 2 games tonight. Arizona State at UCF. UCF needs to handle business if they want to continue to be taken seriously as an NCAA team or NCAA tournament team, which I think they are. And then Kansas State goes to West Virginia. Same thing for West Virginia. It's a game you got to win if you want to be considered. Because I think West Virginia, as of right now, Fitz, they're on the bubble. They are on the bubble. And I don't think it's too early to start talking about bubble. I know there's a lot of games left, but you got to start building your resume. And I think West Virginia is on that bubble. They're going to have to beat somebody with some substance other than the KU game. I think they need another one. And they got 2 or 3 more chances to do that. But K-State's not one of them. They need to handle their business. Yeah, K-State is not one of those teams that they need to win the game, but that's not a resume-building win. No.
Not now.
No. Before we get started, remember, everybody, continue to like, follow, subscribe, continue to get in the comments, and always hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. Game last night, Arizona outlast BYU. I think that's probably the proper term, 86-83. Arizona took control of this basketball game with about 4 minutes to go in the second half. They went on a run, or in the first half, went on a run and led this thing. They got the lead up to 19. We're in cruise control. BYU kept making runs. Arizona kept answering them. And with, I think, a minute 14, they were up 11. And then it's just like the bottom fell out. It was a good basketball game, but I didn't get the same feeling that I got on Saturday between Tech and Houston and this one, Fitz. And 2 reasons why. One, Arizona fans, I think you would admit this, you tried to give the game away. They were gagging the game away. Absolutely. BYU, give you credit for fighting back. But these damn referees, look, I have no dog in the fight, but I'm going to call it down the line. Come on. If BYU's going to come back, which they were doing a good job of doing, and Arizona was doing a good job of gagging the game away, just let it happen. You don't have to help. The refs got invested, and then their emotions get involved. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Those 2 calls at the end of the game, Fitz. Oh, my God. I'm like, come on, man. What are you doing? And BYU fans, stop it before you say a word. You know that was BS. You know it was. They were holding Bradley, and because he gets the guy off of him, it's a foul on him. I'm like, did you watch 1 second before where he's being held? Nope, don't do that. Then the call again on Bradley. They inbound the ball. The guy reaches around his body after somebody pulled his jersey, reach around his body, which is literally in the rule book, into somebody's cylinder. It's a foul. Nope, jump ball. I'm like, come on, man. Look, I get it. We want close games. I understand all of that. But let the kids just handle it. Just let them handle it. Don't get involved. And again, BYU fans, stop it. Stop it. You know that it was BS. Fitz, it was embarrassing, to be honest with you.
Death, taxes, and Big 12 officiating. You know what, Big B? I feel like I should do a top 10 list of the crappiest college basketball officials that work the Big 12, because there's not one set of Big 12 officials.
No,
these guys have contracts with different conferences, and the problem isn't specifically Big 12 officiating. It is officiating, because I've gone on this rant many a time. So let's share it with the Big 12 audience, that the business of college basketball officiating is the most incestuous, grotesque way to make selections of officials I've ever seen. The crappy senior officials, well, Doug Sermons, most notably, they get to have camps, and young officials come and work, and they handpick their next guys. And then those guys are given the opportunities to officiate bigger games. So now they got their guys doing the games with them. They're not going to give them bad reviews because they're their guys. And they just keep working up. I look at a guy like Brooks Wells, who was working college basketball Division II games and suddenly shows up on a Big 12 court. And about 5 years later, maybe it's been longer than that, Brooks Wells suddenly is heading up crews on Big 12 games. And the guy stinks, but he looks like an official. If you cut one out of if you got one out of a cereal box, and here's a college basketball official, it would look just like Brooks Wells, but he stinks calling a college basketball game. They pick who the next crappy officials will be, and then that group 10 years later helps pick the next group. They'll never fix it until they standardize the teaching and selection of officials by outside forces instead of those who are officiating the games or used to officiate the games, like John Higgins, and have now moved into a conference role of selecting officials to work games. See how this works? It's all a big game.
It's craziness, man. I thought it ruined. Again, now don't get me wrong. The game was great. BYU fought back. They deserve all the credit for fighting back. Arizona, again, played outstanding for 38 and a half minutes. I mean, that's just a true fact. They dominated. I shouldn't say they dominated the game, but they took control and just they were in control of the game, for a long stretch. I just thought at the very, very end, the refs implemented themselves when they didn't have to do that. If BYU is going to come back and win, let them come back and win. But I will say this, even Arizona didn't let it stop them, because they ended up making a play at the end of the game, block a guy's shot, a 5-footer, and got the rebound to win the game. Braden Barriers, that guy, first of all, he had an incredible night, but to overcome all of that and still come through, it just shows you how good Arizona is. But let's get into the rankings here. But
real quick, let me give a shout out to official Terry Padilla, who was one of the big forces in that mess last night. I've watched you officiate a very long time. I love your hair. But you're not good at your job. You never have been. I think you've worked a Final Four. Sums up college officiating. On with the show.
It was funny. It is in the comments yesterday. I think I saw 3 or 4 Arizona fans that said hope that he didn't work the game because they knew it was going to be trouble.
He's a guy.
Lo and behold,
he's a guy that tries to put his thumb on the scales of games he works. And I don't think there's anything nefarious about it. I just think he's just a bad official that gets locked in on, I'm going to watch him now.
Yes.
and then calls everything on a team. He drives me insane. But that comes with life in the Big 12 with basketball. It's kind of like juggling hand grenades. Someone pulled a pin, you don't get to know which one it is.
At least they don't have two-step Teddy Valentine as an official, because Lord have mercy, that guy. I mean, you talk about being the show. He wanted to be the show. The show. It's crazy. So moving on, power rankings. At number 16, I got Kansas State. Look, 16 and 15. I know K-State beat Utah. They beat them last week. I 100% understand that. But I'm not changing this because I watched Kansas State quit against KU in a game that they were in. KU went on a little run, and Kansas State just literally quit. Yep. You're not moving up in my round. I don't care who you beat. You're not. That's not happening for me. You are the 16th team until you prove that you're going to play in the season and compete. That was embarrassing against KU. And for some people got mad that KU was dancing on their floor. Damn that. Go ahead and dance. If the team's going to quit, how about somebody for Kansas State show a little backbone, push a guy? Now, I'm not asking you to start a brawl or anything like that, but you can't just dance on my floor after you embarrass us. I'm going to push you, shove you, get in your face, something. You saw none of that from K-State. So you're 16, and you're going to be there until otherwise noted, because I don't think they got any fight in them, Fitz.
I don't either. Tonight's game with West Virginia is huge in terms of are they done? Because I think they might be done. They might have packed it up. I can't imagine what practice was like on Sunday or Monday, whenever they practiced. Yeah, they probably have hardly even practiced. That effort was so good against Kansas on Saturday night. Just rest on that. Just let that go. This team is in the tank. The coaches don't know how to fix things, and it's not going to get better. So, you've earned this, Kansas State basketball. Be proud of this 16th ranking. You've done everything possible to sink to the bottom. Well done.
Yeah, that was ugly, just ugly. And if I was a Kansas State fan, I'd be embarrassed. I would literally be embarrassed.
They're embarrassed by their basketball team, 100%.
Yep, they're embarrassed and pissed off, and they should be both.
Yeah. No, you know what? I haven't talked to a single person that's pissed about KU doing that.
Yeah,
not
nobody.
Nobody.
And they shouldn't be.
They're mad at their team that they just let it happen the first time. Oh, well, okay. I got the ball stolen and it stunked, and okay, whatever. When you don't show fight with about 7 minutes left, 8 minutes left, and it just spirals into the final 20% of that game as you standing around while they dance and dunk on your court. Wow. That says a lot about who you are as players and a team, and the fans see it.
Ugly. As I mentioned earlier, Utah at 15. Look, Utah's not a good basketball team at all, Fitz. But you know what Utah does? They fight.
Yep.
They fight and they claw. That game against BYU, it was a 13-point game. They fought. They're on the road. They're outmanned. But this team is going to fight. I'm not sure how many more Big 12 games they're going to win. But the one thing that I do know that they are going to do is they are going to compete. Whether that effort's good enough or not, it's probably not going to be on most nights. But at least they're giving that effort, and that's all you can ask for.
Exactly. That's the one thing that's deciding who's 15 and who's 16 right now.
Correct. That absolutely correct. Next up, Colorado. Colorado's struggling. It's kind of the same thing that happened last year, Fitz, is they got off to a hot start, beat somebody, or in this case, they competed against somebody that you didn't think. That Texas Tech game, they competed and you thought, okay, maybe they got a chance. They've lost 5 straight. Although they didn't play bad against UCF, I mean, it's tough when you let a team come to your home gym and shoot over 60% from 2 and 65% from 3. That you're not going to win very many games when that happens. Team scores 95 points. It's tough, but Colorado is what it is. But they did beat Utah. I know that was a while back, but they're not horrific. And that's the thing, is that, again, they're battling. Like, they lost to KU. They battled. They lost to West Virginia. They battled. So that's the difference. Well, I could probably switch them with Utah, but I won't for now. And this is kind of where Colorado is. Next week, though, they keep going down. I mean, these bottom three are the bottom three, but this is where we got them this week.
I there's something about a team that is under equipped and yet has those games where they fight with a really good team and almost win. And that's what Colorado's done. So that earns a little respect for me. They're just not equipped to survive an 18 game schedule in this conference.
Correct.
You're just going to have too many days and nights when you get your brains beaten in, and eventually adds up by season's end for a lot of teams. Let's get this over with. We're not good enough to compete. And once the team realizes that, you're sunk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Next, I have Baylor. I mean, you talk about a team that I don't know. We thought Baylor was going to be a good team to start the year. They are not. They're just not a good basketball team. I don't know what else to say. They lost another one, TCU at home, slaughtered by Tech, slaughtered by KU, slaughtered by Oklahoma State, Houston. I mean, they beat Oklahoma State, excuse me, but getting slaughtered by Houston. I mean, they're getting whipped, and it's not going to get any better. I guess, and I can just reveal Team 12 is Cincinnati. They play tomorrow to decide, I guess, 13, 12, and 13. But to be quite honest with you, both of these teams are cooked. Scott Drew's not going anywhere. Now, Cincinnati, on the other hand, they probably need to make a change. Don't know buyouts, don't know any of that with Cincinnati. I'm sure if there's any Bearcat fans in the comments, they can figure all that out. But just two teams that should be better, Fitz. 12 and 13, Baylor and Cincinnati should be better and are not. And for Cincinnati, I'll go ahead and throw this out there. It's one thing to get your brains beat in by Arizona on the road. I get it. But to turn that around and get your brains beat in by Arizona State, you're finished. And they are finished.
Yeah. Man, it's hard to watch Baylor do this.
It is.
Because Scott Drew's turned them into a steady force until now. Is NIL and the portal working that hard against him? I don't know. I just think everyone's gotten so good. Someone had to slip. And unfortunately, it's turned out to be Baylor. And they look like a really good team, and yet look at them. It's hard to explain this, Big B. It is. And maybe it's just how rugged this conference is. Maybe they've just lost a game they shouldn't have lost and run into good teams that they should lose to. And it just added up to this, one of the worst teams in the conference.
Well, you look at them. I mean, they lost at TCU. There's no shame there. I mean, you look at the teams, TCU, Iowa State, Houston. They beat Oklahoma State. Then they lost to Kansas and Texas Tech and TCU. So they haven't lost to anybody that you would say, oh, man, I can't believe you lost that game. But they haven't beaten anybody either. And that's the difference. Now that you're going to go to Cincinnati and West Virginia on that little East Coast road swing, what are you going to do? Like, I mean, because West Virginia is fighting for something. They think West Virginia thinks it can make the tournament. Cincinnati, I think, is finished. And again, like we talked about, they're probably going to make a change at the end of the year. I don't know, because Cincinnati should be better. They should be ashamed of themselves too. So I don't know. Both of these teams are it's just mind-boggling where they are as opposed to where they could be. And your point about NIL, I don't give them that pass. I won't, because
I don't understand why that's giving them problems though.
Correct. It shouldn't. So I don't give them. I just think their rosters are constructed bad.
Yep.
And when you put together a bad roster in NIL times, you're going to stink. And that's what's going on with both of these. They both stink.
Of the bottom five, there's two different type of fan base. Well, three, but you got their fan bases that hope they can be good.
Mm-hmm.
You got the fan bases that expect they can be good. And then you got the fan bases that demand Arizona, Kansas. But K-State, Cincinnati, and Baylor all fall into the fans expect you to be good.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they just want and they hope. That's honestly, that's Utah and Colorado and Arizona State. Oklahoma State fans demand that you be good or want you to be good. It's just, it's weird to see these teams that have had success so many years, maybe not Kansas State now, but just falling off the edge. And they clearly are. They're not competitive right now in the Big 12 conference.
No, they're not. And Cincinnati was one of those teams he brought in. You thought the reason they're coming in is because of basketball. You know, they can up the profile, and it hasn't worked out that way. I think that's one of the reasons where they probably need to make a change, because I would venture to say that Cincinnati, their fan base is on that teetering of expect to be good or demand to be good. They're probably right on that borderline, because Cincinnati's a proud program that's had a lot of good basketball over the years. And for what's going on right now, I know their fans can't stand it. They absolutely can't stand it, and it's driving them insane. So it's too bad. 11, Arizona State. Look, I keep trying to fire the coach, and he keeps fighting back. Now, granted, he's fighting back against teams that aren't great, but they're fighting back. A little fight goes a long way. You know me, Fitz. You show a little backbone, that goes a long way with me. So 11, Arizona State. I mean, look, they smacked around Cincinnati.
They
did. So they're not a great team, but if you're going to go smack somebody around, then okay, good for you. They're not at the bottom of this conference. They're just not.
No. I mean, how frustrating would that be if you're a coach that actually still believes in your team, unlike Coach Hurley, and you're worse than Arizona State. So I don't know what credit to give him, because I know the fans want him out, I believe. But I'll just say, good job, little fella. There we go. That's for Coach Hurley. Good job.
Yeah, at least they're showing some backbone. They're not good, but they're showing backbone. So I'll give them credit for that. Same thing, with number 10, Oklahoma State. Same thing. Not great, showing some backbone, trying to fight. But we'll see where that gets them. I mean, they're 2-5 in the conference right now. Lost 2, basically, 4 of the last 5. The one win, they basically stole that game against Kansas State handed it to them, however you want to look at it. They got, I mean, we'll see. I just think this is where Oklahoma State is. I think they got to run off some wins here. You lose it at Utah on Saturday, you're going to drop another couple rings, because Oklahoma State's not great.
They're not. They're better than last year.
They are.
And this is year 2 of the coaching carousel there, and I think they're on the right path. I always look at these standings as ladders, and you're trying to climb one rung at a time, not 5.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is you get into the single digits of power rankings in this conference. You got number 9, 8, 7. Those rungs the space gets a little bit longer, wider, and it's harder to make that climb. And they're knocking on that now. They're getting there. They're improved. They're not good enough, but at least the fans there have a sign of hope in basketball. I can't imagine how frustrating it's been to be Oklahoma State fans. Right. You've been good in basketball. You're not. You've been good in football, and you're not. I mean, they are one of the great wrestling powers, and they celebrate that. But your money's made in football, man, and secondarily in basketball, and you got to figure it out. They're getting there, though. I like where they're headed.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, I've got TCU at number 9. Now, I tried to write TCU off after that Utah loss. I thought they should have been ashamed of themselves. They come back with 2 wins against Oklahoma State and Baylor. Fitz. Of the next 5 games, they got Houston at home and Iowa State at home.
Oh, that'll be lovely.
In between that, they go to Colorado. They got Kansas State. Look, they got an opportunity. They got to beat one of those two.
Yep.
I know that's easier said than done, but if you want to make the tournament, they gave the game away at KU. They gave that one absolutely away. So you didn't get that one. You're going to have to beat an upper echelon team, and it's easier to win those games at home, I would guess, than they are on the road. You got an opportunity. You want to go to the tournament? Here's your chance. Beat one of those two in the next 4, and you got your opportunity to go to the tournament. If not, I know you got some other – you're going to have to beat an upper echelon team. They've lost too many at this point, Fitz. They're probably going to have to beat 2, not just 1. They're probably going to have to beat 2 of the upper echelon teams to have any consideration. If not, this over. Jamie Dixon's let this one get away, Fitz.
Yeah, he tends to do that. It'll be interesting at the end of the day, or end of the regular season in this case, how many teams the Big 12 gets in. Because I can see them getting in 8, 9. Now, not what the SEC did last year, but let's be honest, they had teams that were included that shouldn't have been. ESPN kind of forced teams in that didn't have any business being there.
Right.
So I know Oklahoma State's not in a position unless they make a run. Is TCU and West Virginia and some of these other teams in the neighborhood of getting a bid? Maybe, but it's also entirely possible the Big 12 gets in like 7, and they're all like 6 seeds and above.
Yep.
It just feels like we're seeing a separation here between what might be a top 7 and then a few in the middle, and then the rest that just fill out the schedule. We'll see. But TCU, you better get moving because time is running out. February is almost here.
It is, and I think you're 100% correct on that, Fitz. I think you hit it on the head. There's a top 6, maybe 7. There's a top 6 for sure. 7 will get in. If UCF just wins home games, they're going to get in, and just keeps winning, they're going to get in. West Virginia is teetering. If they win another one against an upper echelon team, which they're more than capable of doing, I think they're going to get in. And then the rest, it's like, okay, what are you going to do? Because you got to beat somebody. And that's the thing. And the games are there. You got to beat somebody. And if you don't, what's your resume? And you play in a conference that you can build your resume in a week. You really do. But you got to do it. And TCU has not done it to this point. A team that's trying to, number 8, is West Virginia. They got the win over Kansas. They've got some other opportunities, Fitz. You look at their schedule, they got Tech coming up at home. But then you start looking, you're like, BYU? And who else? I mean, they don't. And I'm not saying that there's no other team. They go to UCF. But other than that, and TCU, West Virginia has a real opportunity, Fit. They are 13-7, 20 wins is begging. It's right there for the taking for them. If they beat one of those, just one of those teams, they got a chance. And when I say one of those, one of the upper echelon teams, and they handle business against all the other teams they should beat, West Virginia is making this tournament. They absolutely are making this tournament, Fitz.
I agree. It starts tonight. You just blow out Kansas State, start getting some rhythm to you. Whatever you do, don't lose. I mean, the Big 12's a gauntlet. Kansas State's the foothills, a mile from the gauntlet. So you shouldn't have a stumble over that at home.
No, their next 3s, K-State, Baylor, and at Cincinnati. Got a chance.
That's an opportunity right there.
That's right. You got an opportunity, man, to make some headway. You absolutely do. UCF next. Look, I mentioned earlier they shot the lights out at Colorado. That was a win they needed to get. Colorado plays good at home. You want to be taken seriously, you win these games on the road. They won that game on the road. Good for them. They host Arizona State tonight. They need this one. And then after that, they host Tech and they go to Houston. So you got to win both, or you got to win this one, and then you got to try to knock off one of those two.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. We'll talk about Tech and Houston in here in just a second, but I think UCF, they're not comfortably in the tournament.
No.
Nobody, I guess you would say, I guess maybe the top 4 or 5, maybe top 6 are probably comfortable at this point. But the season's still, I mean, we got a lot of games left. There's 10 games to go. People could fall off a cliff. So you never know what could happen.
Yep.
But I like UCF's chances, but I would like them even better if they won one of those games over Tech or Houston.
You nailed it. I mean, I think they're in, but they're in as a seed you don't want to be. And they're good enough to be in that 5-6 range. You know, I think 6 is a great seeding because then you play a 3 in the second round. And honestly, if you think about who the 6s and 3s would be out of the Big 12, that's still a good game.
It is.
So, you know, you get up to 5, you're, hey, you know, but you get a 4, but there's a 1 waiting out there. So I like where your 6 seed sits, and that should be probably UCF's goal because they're capable of it. You know, you think about it, that makes you a top 24 team if you're in there. So I think that fits their resume perfectly, but you are correct. Go get a big one, man. Go get a head turner. You've done it in the past. I don't know that Kansas early in the season serves as that, although the more Kansas improves, the better you look for that win.
Absolutely.
That's how those rankings work, those ratings work. So just stay the course, man. I think Johnny Dawkins, you know, you can make an argument for coach of the year in this conference because we didn't really expect this. His program's kind of been blah. It's better than blah. It's still not great, but it's making progress. There's no doubt about it. And they're being competitive in the middle tier of this conference. But again, you're right. Go get that win, man. Go get the one that you can hang your hat on.
Absolutely. 6 is BYU. And BYU fans might be mad. That's okay. But again, you start looking at their conference. I said this, or not their conference, their record. I said this yesterday. In conference, who have they beaten? Yep. You start taking a deep dive into that. Last night was an opportunity that got away, you know, and, you know, in their best win, Miami, Clemson. Okay, those are good teams, but they're not anything, not the upper echelon of this conference. And if you're going to be in the upper echelon of this conference, which they are, you're going to be at the bottom of it if you can't beat any of those teams. They had an opportunity against Tech. They lost. Opportunity against Arizona. They lost. So they're number 6. I still really like BYU. I do. I like their team, but they got to break through. They got to break through. I think they will. But until they do, this is where you got to be in my power rankings at number 6.
This BYU team is really good. The fact that they're clearly the 6th best team in this conference as of now is a compliment to the conference, not a criticism of BYU.
Correct.
I think in most normal years, BYU is a top 3 team in this conference. But now that KU's found the gear, we knew they would, and they're beginning to play much better basketball. We're seeing BYU settle into this. But still, if you watch that game last night, even though Arizona led for big chunks of it, it was still competitive possession to possession. You know what I mean? It wasn't clear like BYU's just hanging on for dear life. It never felt that way. BYU always looked like they had the capability of competing. And they showed it at the end, but it's just the reality. You got to beat, at the end of the day, did you win or lose?
Right.
And if the answer is lost, don't say, yeah, but we almost won. See, we're not doing horseshoes and hand grenades here. We're doing college basketball games. You got to go win them. And I think BYU will win some games against good teams, but they haven't yet. Not in conference.
Not in conference.
Right.
No, not. Number 5 is Iowa State. They got off the snide this past week. They lost 2. They won 2. You start looking at their schedule, and, you know, they can make some headway here. They got 4 very winnable games, the toughest one being at TCU. Then they got a stretch of Kansas, Houston, BYU all in a row. So 2 of those are at home. But they got an opportunity here. They needed to get back because they kind of got handled those 2 games. I mean, they got whipped at KU. Cincinnati they beat them up, physically beat them up. So they needed to get back on the winning side of stuff. So we'll see how it goes from here on out. I like this Iowa State team, but they kind of do that every year, though, Fitz. They start out really good. They win a couple games in non-conferences. You're like, okay, this team is real, real good. And then about mid-January, they lose one. Now, losing to KU is, okay, you lost at KU.
Yep.
But getting physically beat up at Cincinnati, I don't think anybody saw that coming. And so they kind of do that. So they've righted the ship. But it would be a mistake to write off Iowa State.
No, they're good. They're good. Yeah. Just because they're number 5 in this conference and lost a few games doesn't tell you the story they need. You need to know. I do wonder what the origin of the phrase "get off the snide" is, because in Big 12 you can be on the snide for like 18 games. Kansas State is clearly on the snide, but I spent 4 or 5 years on the snide, and I still don't know what it means. But they weren't good years, I can tell you that. I'm glad I'm off.
It's tough to get off too. It's real tough to get off.
The snide's slippery. You get stuck on there.
Oh man! At number 4, I've got KU. KU's playing good basketball. That was a beat down at K-State. Basically, the last 8 minutes of that basketball game, 7 minutes of the basketball game, they beat them up and danced on their home floor. Good for them. But here's the thing about KU. First of all, they did it without Darren Peterson. That's number 1. He didn't play not 1 second. He didn't get hurt in the game. He didn't play not 1 second in that basketball game. So that's number 1. Number 2, they're starting to use Flory Badunga a lot more. KU is better when he is involved. And they are just better. I've been saying that for 2 years. That I'm not saying he's the most polished offensive player. He isn't. But he can score if you give him the basketball. He's super athletic. KU is better when they use him, even when Darren Peterson's out there. Use the kid. He's good.
Yeah, he is.
But we're going to find out about KU, Fitz. The next 5, BYU at Tech, Utah, Arizona, at Iowa State. We're going to find out how good they are. A lot of these teams have a murderer's row. Not everybody, but a lot of these teams have a little murderer's row. This is KU's starting now.
The most Big 12 thing ever would be KU going 4-1 in the stretch with the loss to Utah. That would just sum everything up in this conference. But KU looked really good. Basically, if you didn't see the last 8 minutes, 7.5 minutes of the game, if you ever saw Back to the Future, when the bully has McFly, come on, McFly, that was Kansas State was McFly, just getting picked on. No dignity. Let them dance and dunk and whip ass on the floor in the locker room. No pushback. No pushback. Let's go. Let's get out of here and go play some video games, fellas. Okay. Let's just let them dunk.
The no dignity line is about, that is literally what it was like. Just no dignity whatsoever. That was embarrassing.
It was so, you know what? And I keep telling K-Staters this, you've done it in football. You've danced on the Jayhawk, gotten photos. But
yes,
it's a rivalry.
The rivalry, man.
Coming.
And like I said, I try to be as impartial as I can possibly be on this channel, knowing that I went to Kansas State and I loved every single second of what KU did. I loved it because you can rub it in against your rival, rub it in, and especially when they don't have any fight back. That to me, that makes it better. Oh, you're not going to fight back? Oh, I'm going to dance even more. Okay, great. Just pathetic.
Pick up a damn chair.
Something. Good for KU, man. At number 3, Fitz, I got Houston. And, last week I had a video saying that Houston was the team to beat. And I no longer think that, but that's this conference. And it's not that I don't think Houston can be there or even will be there at the end. But things change. One week you can be the team to beat. The next week you're not. The game against Tech was incredible, Fit. It was an incredible basketball game. But they lost. And, you can't just say, well, they're the team to beat. They lost. Oh, but they're still the team to beat. Well, they have an opportunity to be there in the end and prove that. But you have to penalize somebody at least a little bit for losing, don't you? You can't just say, well, they lost every close game they played, but they're still really good. At some point, you got to win. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Houston is that, so relax, Cougar. Relax. I know Houston is outstanding. They're not even good. They're outstanding.
Yeah,
but they lost the game. They play TCU at TCU tomorrow. I was going to try to go, but, I mean, we're still going to be – it's too much ice. I mean, I was going to go to the game, but I can't get out in ice. One of these days it'll thaw out. But I like this Houston team. I just don't – at this particular second, they're not the team to beat. Somebody else has taken that mantle from them. Will they get it back?
Yeah.
I think Kelvin Sampson is in that locker room basically saying the same thing I am. Somebody has taken your mantle. What are you going to do about it? I think he's challenged him. That's what I think, because that's the kind of coach he is. And I love him.
Oh, look, watching him on the sidelines brings me joy because he's so animated and frustrated and expects perfection.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of love it because he's earned that. You know, he can be that guy. I'm just telling you, Kingston Flemings is a dude. Now, I first noticed him. Look, I knew who he was, but when you go through photos, I go through a lot of photos on our photo services for the images we put. He is the most photographic point guard in the conference by far. There's so many great photos of him to use. I could use him almost every day because he's doing something all the time that helps his team win. It's amazing how good he is. And this is the third best team in the conference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they're so good. I can't imagine what practice was like after the loss. I can't imagine. And again, it's not that Houston played bad. Like, they didn't play. This is not a game where you said, oh man, Houston, they stunk it up. No, they didn't. And I know there were a lot of points scored in that game, and I kept making this a point. I don't think it was because it was bad defense either. Just in basketball, good offense is always going to be good defense, man. It's just nothing if a guy's making shots, what are you supposed to do about that? I mean, if you're not fouling them every time, but guys making shots, they're just making shots. It is what it is. It was a great basketball game. Houston was on the losing side of that. To the number 2 team, Texas Tech. I think people have to start giving more credit to Texas Tech Fitz that they can win the league. I don't think enough people are talking about Texas Tech being able to win the league. I just don't. I think the conversation is centered around Arizona and Houston so much, and even talking about KU and BYU. I just don't think enough people are talking about Texas Tech. This was another resume-building victory that they had on Saturday, just like the Duke game. And I know they got their brains beat in against Purdue. Okay. But they've come back. They have. I mean, maybe they got better. Teams are allowed to get better. I know you're supposed to be playing at peak performance in December, but maybe they actually got better. It appears that It appears that they've figured out. We don't have a ton of depth, but we can utilize what we have, spell some guys, just hopefully nobody gets hurt, and they're just going to go from there. But you look at Tech's schedule Fitz, if you look at it, there's some teams that have that murderer's row that I have talked about. Tech does not have that. They have tough games left. There's no doubt about that. You play in the Big 12, you're going to have tough games. But they don't have the murderer's row of, 3 games or 4 games in a row or something like that. They don't have that. So Tech's got an opportunity. And I just think more people need to be talking about them winning the league than what's actually happening.
This game defined the level at which they can achieve.
Mm-hmm.
Big part of it was the home crowd was unbelievable and lovely.
Unbelievable.
And also, I did mention, shout out to the folks in Provo. I mean, that was an incredible environment last night. I love this conference because of that. West Virginia is mid in this conference. They're going to have a great crowd tonight. They just will, unless the weather's horrible. people are invested, and Tech at least showed me a different level here. They took it up because they've got the talent. They just haven't seemed as complete, as efficient, as kind of in this conference. You can't have many lulls,
right?
And they were having some. That was an impressive win, and once they got on top, they kind of finished them off. And yeah, I think it really entered Tech into the conversation as the winner of this conference. Now the question becomes, can they continue to do that? Well, yeah, they're capable of it. That's the thing. And here they are. I mean, I'm really impressed with Texas Tech. And
yes.
They're fun to watch. I talked earlier about how frustrating sports has had to be at Oklahoma State. My God, if you're a student at Texas Tech, what?
You gotta be having a good time right now.
Oh my goodness. You get to go watch football, kick everyone's ass in the conference. Now you got basketball playing with great teams in the conference. You got all this great music. You can go out drinking after the game and see a bunch of music that I like to listen to, and you get to see it in person. I'm jealous. Okay, I'm shutting up. I love Tech fans. They got a little annoying in football, but have fun, man. Have fun. If you're having that kind of year in this conference, go for it, man. This is beautiful.
Absolutely. And at number one, undisputed number one as of right now is Arizona. I talked about how Arizona hadn't played anybody within the conference that, they played at UCF, don't get me wrong, but they just hadn't played anybody in the upper echelon. Wasn't that they didn't deserve to be the top team in the league, but they just hadn't. Last night, you can't say that anymore. That was a top tier crowd that they went and played, over 18,000 people. It was loud. It was noisy. And for, 18 and a half minutes, they controlled the game. They controlled it. Let it slip away near the end. And again, you know me, and I shouldn't say 18 and a half minutes, 38 and a half minutes. They had it, not 18. They were in control. And they let it slip away. Don't get me wrong. Refs helped a little bit, and they did, BYU fans. The refs helped, but they made the play to win. They made the play to win. That's all you can ask, is make winning plays, especially on the road. Make winning plays. They did that. The way this team is constructed, Fitz, is basically the blueprint in college basketball now. You have size, you can make threes, but they're not predicated. They don't shoot a whole lot of 3-pointers. They're not built into the, well, let's get into the analytics of stuff. They don't do that. They've got size. They rebound the basketball like crazy. They have veteran guards, and they also have a mixture of veterans and young guys. They start 3 freshmen, and they have a couple of NBA guys. Isn't that exactly what you want? Hell, they got 2 guys from a Sweet 16 team that come off the bench. And one of those guys is an ass kicker that just takes absolutely no nonsense when he gets on the basketball court. Every rebound is his. Every rebound. And if I get the rebound, an offensive rebound, I'm going back up. This the way that they're constructed and coached. I think that also, Tommy Lloyd, I don't think he gets enough credit for how good of a basketball coach he is. The way that this team is, they are deserving of what everybody is saying. Do they have to continue that? Absolutely. But today, number one team in the Big 12, they have taken that mantle without question.
I'm just going to say it. There's only one way for this season to end properly for this team, and that's with the national championship. No matter what they do short of that, Arizona fans are going to be sick about a missed opportunity to win a title.
Mm-hmm.
That'll stick with them for very long, because this team is unbelievably well put together, talented, understands, like you said, this is my role. Me get ball. Yeah. Sometimes it comes down to that. This is what I've got to do to help my team win. I defend my ass off. I rebound. I make a good pass. I move away from, I create space for shooters. All those little subtle things, they seem to be coached to do, as opposed to standing around and watching the better players play. Boy, they're good. I love watching them. I love watching them.
Yeah. They're so good. And again, like I mentioned, you get two guys from a Sweet 16 team that started a year ago, and now they're coming off the bench because some talented freshmen have come in, and you're like, well, this is where you got to be. And they're like, okay, no problem. That's why I love Toby Owaka, because he's one of those guys, and he's just like, you know what? When every second I'm out there, I'm going to rebound the basketball. I'm going to be the muscle inside. I'm going to score. I'm going to defend. I'm going to do whatever I can and give maximum effort every single second that I am out on this basketball court. But that's all of them. It's not just him. It's all of them are that way. They're just, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do, and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it. And when I come out of the game, I'm going to rest. And when I go back in, this is what I'm going to do. I love the team, but they got to continue. I don't want to give them all this praise and then all of a sudden, well, that's it. No, they got to keep going because the conference is unforgiving. And look, I know we talked about Murderers Row. And we'll keep saying this. I know I've probably said it 5 or 6 times. They got 2 more games before that 7-game stretch. That is the toughest 7-game stretch of anybody in the country. They're going to have that. So if they get through that unscathed or maybe a loss, Lord have mercy. Come on. What are we talking about? But they're that good. They could get through it, Fitz. They absolutely could.
Thanks for reminding me. I need to order more popcorn because I'm going to sit down and watch this. Arizona runs that gauntlet here in a little bit, and it's going to be glorious. If you've got a team and the guys that want to play more are manifesting that desire into busting ass and proving why they should play more, you're in great shape.
Yep.
As opposed to the program that has players that want to play more or think they just are deserving, that just go in and do things that serve them and not the team.
Correct.
Arizona, I'm sure guys want to play more, but here's what they do. They go to prove it. They play their ass off when they're in there. And if you get a team to do that and your bench is all doing that, man, and you're this talented, they should win almost everything, every game. They should.
Absolutely. And like I said, they're just the way they're constructed and coached. Love this basketball team. But that's the Big 12 Conference, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the power rankings for this week. The one thing that I can rest assured, I say it every week, it'll be different next week. It'll be different. We got some good basketball games coming up this week. Again, wherever you're at, if you happen to be in the danger zone of this crazy storm, man, just bunker down, ride it out, and don't do anything silly. We've had some stuff happen here in Texas, people doing some crazy sledding stuff and their kids doing stuff. Don't do that, man. Just look, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's just snow. Or it's just ice. Home is okay. Home is okay. So make sure everybody's safe. Stay warm. Until tomorrow, we will talk to you guys soon, man. You guys have a good one.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.